Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching the show. We have a great show for you because, of course, there's a lot of great sports tonight. We're missing Big Mike Butera tonight. Big Mike. Well, I tried to get Big Mike D. He's out there playing basketball. Next time, Big Mike D from Pittsburgh Sports Nation. We had a good conversation. He'll be back again at Sip Sports Bar. And little Z is killing himself. He's out there working. He just texted me he can't make it in. But we're going to go on with the show, folks. Thanks for watching again. And we start with what's on our mind. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip, the Prophet Hayner, and Smoking Jim Frazier from downtown Monroeville. And
God's country.
Yes. Sorry, West Virginia. We try to add a little humor here, and that was just a little bit, some inside jokes here. And now we'll go with Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got to stick with Levine. And tell Big Mike when you talk to him that be careful with that basketball, because I got a friend named Mike that hurt his ankle playing basketball recently.
I heard.
But hey, I'm going back with my Spotlight Player of the Week leading up to the NFL Draft. Three things that I look forward for as an NFL scout when I'm scouting players. Number one, you got to be in extremely great condition. I like athletes that are in shape. Vince Lombardi once said that fatigue will make cowards out of all of us. So I want a guy that's fresh and can take over a game in the fourth quarter. Number two, you can't be a dummy and play for me. You got to be smart. As tough as Jack Lambert and Greg Lloyd were, they were very extremely smart football players. Greg Lloyd, a lot of people don't realize, had his engineering degree from Fort Valley State. And then you take a guy like the Samoan offensive guard, Chris Martumo, or whatever his name was. He was just an extremely dumb football player. And when you got dumb football players, for example, you can't reason with them. Smart players you can reason with. Charles Haley, I never liked him, but he was a great football player. He was smart because you could reason with him. Didn't like him off the field, but you got a guy like Chris that you tell him, hey, you blocked a guy one time, let him go because we're going to run a screen, but he'd be so dumb he just blocked a guy right into the screen play. So you can't win with that. And lastly, and most importantly, I'm getting a call from India. India's in the house.
To just interrupt your little spotlight, where's Brazil?
Brazil is still here. She's in the white chair. How you doing, sweetie? I'll see you right after the show.
And for all of you that don't watch the show, this is in honor of his imaginary girlfriends.
Yeah, his imaginary girlfriend's a country. The other ones that are throwing themselves at him are all continents.
But thirdly and most importantly, what I look for in football players, everybody likes to win. I want a football player that hates to lose. And my Spotlight Player of the Week is Tavon Austin from West Virginia. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, runs a 40 and 4.2. Is he a conditioned athlete? Yes. This is a guy that he's a wide receiver, a running back, a kickoff and punt returner, and he can cover kicks for you if you want to. When he was in high school, he was a running back, ran for 8,000 career yards, 123 touchdowns. Last year for West Virginia, he had 114 receptions, 1,300 yards, returned a punt and kickoff for a touchdown, and he set a school record with 350 yards rushing against Oklahoma. That's my Spotlight Player of the Week. Tavon Austin fits all the criteria that I look for in an outstanding football player.
You heard it first here. Smoking Jim has another Spotlight player that should be on the Steelers. All right, well, thanks, Smoking Jim. Now, Chip, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, I guess Tavon Austin must have really hated playing for Dana Holgerson because he lost way more often than he should have. But what's on my mind? What's on my mind tonight is the NCAA. And I'm going to tell you what, there's going to be two examples I'm going to show about everything that's right with the NCAA and everything that's wrong with the NCAA. And to touch on the positive first, because I don't really like to dwell on the negative, even though I'm going to bring it to everybody's attention. The positive happened at the red and white game at Nebraska University this past weekend. And a young man, 7-year-old boy, got cancer. It's not certain if he's going to make it through this or not. His wish was to get on the field and, during the red and white game. So they put him into the game, the 7-year-old, amongst a bunch of college athletes. And if you know anything about Nebraska football, most of the athletes there are monsters, okay? So they said they gave this young boy the ball, and he rushed for a 69-yard touchdown. And there were 60,000 people in that stadium, and they were hooting and hollering and roaring for him just like they would have at a bowl game. And the whole team escorted him down the field, and he ended up being the #1 rusher for the red and white game. Gained 9 yards, and he scored a touchdown. And, the kid's face was so beaming, and his father was so proud of him. And that's a moment that, that kid is never going to forget. And who knows how long that young man's going to live. But hats off to the University of Nebraska, all the athletes, the athletic director there, for making that dream come true for that young man. Now, everything that's wrong with the NCAA, it begins and ends with Mark Emmert. This guy is a buffoon, and he should just give it up. Now the controversy that is surrounding Rutgers University right now, and I don't really want to get into, Mike Rice and the accusations or the things that he did that caused him to get fired. That's all well documented. Each of us have our own opinion of it. But the point of this whole mentioning this is not about what the coach was doing. Okay, he got terminated. Okay, probably justifiably so. But, you got the athletic director who, when this was first brought to his attention and the film was brought to him, lied and said that he showed it to the president of the university. Then, he kind of brushed it under the rug a little bit. And then, so he threw out this little bitty punishment of a suspension and anger management classes. All this while burying this while he was negotiating this lucrative contract for Rutgers to enter into the Big Ten, okay, because a controversy like this may have affected that. So, his mishandling of this was accepted by the president because look what he was doing for the university. He was filling the university's coffers. Well, it all comes out that he lied because he said he showed the video to the president of the university, who the president of the university said he didn't see it. Well, I find that hard to believe, and I believe that the president of the university is as big a liar as the AD was. And it's interesting that I found out that he is also negotiating a lucrative contract with like a medical system somewhat similar to UPMC, even though it was not them, to bring millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into Rutgers University. And I think he should be terminated as well. But, what does Mark Emmert do about this? Nothing. Now, here's what Mark Emmert thinks is more important to put down as a rule. Last night, the University of Louisville won the men's national basketball championship. Congratulations to the University of Louisville. Tonight, the Louisville women's basketball team is playing Connecticut for the women's national championship. The men's basketball team wanted to go to New Orleans to watch the women's team try to win their title. And Mark Emmert said that's not allowed. That's an impermissible benefit that the university cannot pay for the men's basketball team to root on their sisters in red and white. And somehow that's an impermissible benefit. But yet he's going to let what happened at Rutgers go without doing anything. See, Mark Emmert is everything that is wrong with the NCAA, and he needs to be axed.
Great points, Chip.
No common sense, I tell you.
Yeah, we'll revisit some of that. Definitely. There's no doubt, because he's one of my favorites.
To go watch, your own university play, it's an impermissible benefit.
That's crazy.
It doesn't even make sense, but I will say one phrase. Just follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the way to Rutgers.
And there is no money on the unicycles. All right, we got a little promotion with our unicycles. We're back to the July 21st to 27th, the Butler Wobble. Dave Crack will be coming in on April 22nd at Sip Sports Bar, bringing a couple unicycles. And he's going to bring a couple people, so maybe we'll get some little auditions on the unicycles. So don't forget that on your calendar. Now, the big event we've been talking about, April 14th, we're going to be in, I don't know, where's that at again, Smoking Jim?
God's country.
And what time is it? Because you're the guy in charge of the time.
Monroeville at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right after church.
Right, at the Doubletree. And you'll have a few hours of boxing. So come and watch us. We're going to be rebroadcasting that boxing match for BPTV and the surrounding area. Yes, you can watch it on Verizon. If you're watching this on YouTube, Verizon in the Pittsburgh area, you can see it. In Bethel Park, our local hometown, Comcast 7 and Verizon 32. And of course, YouTube. You'll see it everywhere. And if you forget about Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, I just reminded you. So we need some more likes. So help us out there. We're at 216, I think.
Wow.
So
Big Mike, I know you're not here, but watch my finger. It's that easy.
And because Big Mike's here, I wanted to save it for when he is on the show. He found the finger to hit the like.
Okay,
so he's one of the likes. So
you can't teach an old dog a new trick.
And we did teach him a little bit of a new trick. And then don't forget, when you mark your calendars, we'll be back at the Royal Place, where Andy Sebastian will be announcing the Hall of Fame dinner. And that starts at 6 o'clock at the Royal Place on April 20th. So the next week we'll be doing that. And then, of course, there's fights afterwards. So we'll see the Novice Cadet and the Hall of Fame at the same time. So it'll be a great event. And now what's on my mind is we got two of our teams on a winning streak. The Penguins are 1 in a row. Now, everybody, what's going to happen there? We got all these players that are hurt. We already got a playoff position clinched. Years ago, we would have just hoped that we could do that. So we'll be in first, second, or third at the worst if something would happen drastic. Let these players heal up. We'll talk more about Penguins a little later on. But then what surprised me is nobody panicked with the 1-5 Buccos. Chip, they're on a one-game winning streak.
Certainly not me.
Well, I know that. You're drinking so much Kool-Aid, I don't want to burst your bubble, but that's what's on my mind, folks. And just it's a short one, but I had to get the infomercials in, and we'll do a little revisitation if I want to revisit the Mark Emmert of the NCAA.
Go right ahead, Alan.
Well, that's the guy that he should not even be in charge because of what he did at his school. All you have to do is keep checking back, just like when I talked about Penn State and all the stuff. I won't revisit that. We've done that enough. Mm-hmm. But just check out his record with what he does. As long as he's right, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong by the law or who got hurt or what student did this or that. That's the problem. He's like your guy Goodell.
Look at he's done with the the investigation to the University of Miami.
Yeah,
he impermissibly he got an attorney to go and pose questions because they refused to testify in front of the NCAA, in a deposition on a completely different matter. That's so unethical.
Well, when they're in charge, you call Goodell. So.
Right, because it's. And remember, Roger, it's spelled with 2 O's, not one.
I'm trying to be a straight man tonight. How am I doing there?
But I tell you, speaking of, about our friend Roger, for all the criticism that we give him, one thing that he does do, and the NFL is getting right, is when there's, inappropriate hits that lead to injury and especially blows to the head, he does something about it.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
We got a call. Hello, welcome to Pittsburgh Sportsline.
How you doing? I'm supposed to speak with Smoking Jim. I'm a casting director from Los Angeles.
Well, I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. I'm one of the hosts here, and I can see Smoking Jim. If you turn into Verizon 32, casting director, you can watch that, and you also see Chip the Prophet Hayner. So there's 3 of us just waiting to hear what you have to say.
That's awesome. I love that.
First of all, what's your name?
My name is Scott Moretti.
Well, Scott Moretti, welcome to our show. We appreciate you calling in. We usually start out the show with what's on our mind. I'm going to ask you what's on your mind.
On my mind is I want Pittsburgh to come out and share an exciting adventure with me called White Collar Brawler.
White Collar Brawler? That sounds like a winner here. You got to start talking to us guys at Pittsburgh Sportsline. We're all about action. If you need help and you want PR, talk to Al Levine, the talking machine, buddy. Don't play around with all the rest. Just line them up because you know what a good guy smoking Jim is. Wait till you meet Chip, and then wait till you meet me in person. Why don't you tell the folks what your name is again, because they're going to hear more about you.
My name is Scott Moretti, and I'm a casting director in Los Angeles with the company Authentic Entertainment.
And how long have you been doing this, Scott?
I've been doing it about 8 or 9 years. Cast a little over 85 shows.
What's a couple of your top shows? Because maybe I've seen a few of them.
One of them I am embarrassed to say, but it's also the highest rated show in the history of MTV. I cast Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right.
I'm not a big fan of the show, but I like a little controversial TV, but I understand why it's so popular.
Another cute one that we won an Emmy for was called Cash Cab.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
On
good.
Discovery. Basically Jeopardy in a cab.
Nice. Well, what made you pick Pittsburgh for this white-collar brawler?
Pittsburgh's a great town. I mean, I feel like you get a real rocky feel. I mean, there's a lot of really great blue-collar areas. There's a lot of great shots where you can shoot downtown. We also have some really great gyms with some of the best boxing coaches in the country lined up for these for the guys we want to do the show with.
No, that sounds great. We know a lot of these boxers. We also do another show that's live. Well, it's taped, but we do it in a sports bar called Sip Sports Bar. We'd love to have you come up there, and then we could get you on some film to help see who you are and promote this show.
That'd be cool. When will that be? I'm only in town for a couple of days, but when would that be?
We do it every Monday, so when you fly back out to L.A. or wherever you're going, you could come back some Monday after you spend a weekend in Pittsburgh and enjoy the sights with the good weather that we're having. Come on back, and you're welcome anytime, Scott. Just let me know, and on a Monday.
Sounds amazing.
Because then we can have guests. We have guests there, and you're welcome to show up and be on the show.
Cool. Very cool. I appreciate that.
Oh, when are you leaving now? You said a couple days.
I'm leaving on Monday. I'll have my big interview day on Sunday, where we get all the great guys who want to take place, who want to be a part of the White Collar Brawler show, and then we fly back Monday. We basically sell them to the network, and hopefully they love the guys. I'm sure they will. That's the plan.
Hey, Scott, this is Smoking Jim. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Smoking Jim, what's going on, bud?
Hey, doing great, man. We got you on here. I tell you what, the phone lines is lighting up. Seems like half the Pittsburgh want to talk to you, but we want to talk to you here first. What's some of the things that you've been doing since you've been in the city promoting this reality show? We're real excited about it.
We've been going around. We've been to the South Side. We've been to Oakland. We've been to Lawrenceville. We've been to Market Square. So there's myself. I'm a pretty tall guy, and my associate Jen. I'm sure people are starting to notice us because we're out and about all day long looking for people that would be great for this. And the city is really beautiful. It's really cool. I mean, there's so many different sights to see around here. We're digging it.
Well, thank you. It is one of the most beautiful cities, and we have one of the best sites in the country. You got to go up to Mount Washington before you leave.
We're kind of all business right now, so.
No, that's business too. We have gyms all over the area.
Man, if they know we're going to Mount Washington, our company would not be happy. They want us to just find this great cast in Pittsburgh.
Well, Scott, the next couple of days, where are you going to be? So I've been getting phone calls from people that want to get involved. Where can I tell them that they need to show up to so that they can get involved with this great reality show?
Well, there's two ways they can do it. Are you okay with me giving the number? There's two ways we can do it. They can call the other producer, Jen, and her number is 818-471-7738. From that, we'll hear their story, and we'll book them for an audition. Auditions are at our hotel at the Holiday Inn. We basically we give the address and everything when we know all the ducks are in a row, we know when someone's good. And another way they can apply is through our email address. It's W like Wade, C like cat, B like boy, show, SHOW, @gmail.com. So like White Collar Baller Show at gmail.com. So WCB Show @gmail.com.
That's
they can
great.
tell us their story there. They can give us their number. We'll give them a ring. I mean, we're here trying to service Pittsburgh. So call us anytime. We'll take the call. We're happy to talk to anybody. We're really excited about anyone who's excited about the show. The show is a really cool show. It's going to be 6 to 8 weeks of training with the best boxers in Pittsburgh. We're going to film it. It's going to be like a real-life Rocky story with these guys. The catch is we're looking for guys who either have a rival company or work in the same company. So, if John works at the company, he's, let's say, a paralegal, and then he has a competing paralegal at another company or someone who works at his personal company. They're going to do it together. So they're going to do everything together. It's going to be friendly competition. But after the 6 to 8 weeks, they're really going to step in the ring like men, and they're going to have it out.
And it may not be so friendly then, huh?
Hey, it sounds like a great concept. I know quite a few places. Maybe you want to go to my old employer at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. There's only about 11 different unions down there, and a lot of those guys are natural brawlers. Maybe I'll have to give you a couple names from at that location there for you, Scott and Jen.
That would be great.
I've seen a few of those brawls over the years, to tell you the truth. So. But no, that's really great. I can't wait to meet you here. We'd love to keep promoting you. Leave Jen in town for a while, and we'll keep her on Monday. You go promote it out there, and we'll interview her, and she can broadcast it all over our airwaves here.
That's funny. Everybody wants Jen to stay longer. Everybody likes Jen better.
Well, I didn't even see her. I just figured if everybody's noticing both of you in town, we'll take her over you, buddy. No offense meant.
Story of my life, man. Story of my life.
Hey, Scott, we don't want to. I know you got another meeting to run into, but tell us a little bit about because Jimmy Savetic is kind of a legendary icon here in southwestern Pennsylvania. He's really put boxing on the map here in Pittsburgh. He was the one that founded Paul Spadafore, the Pittsburgh Kid, and many other fighters. So tell the people a little bit about Jimmy Savetic, and if you got a good Jimmy Savetic story.
Well, Jimmy, I mean, if you know Jimmy, Jimmy's a talker, so it's...
We know Jimmy. He's been on our show. He's a super guy.
He's amazing. He's the best. I mean, to be honest, this show is in Pittsburgh because of Jimmy, because Jimmy is such a good promoter, such a good salesperson for Pittsburgh. So, I mean, really, Jimmy is the reason why. I'd say one of the big reasons. He's kind of the catalyst of why we are so passionate about shooting the show in Pittsburgh. Because Jimmy really sold us on how great the city is.
That's super to hear that.
Yeah, and he didn't really have to sell hard because he's just speaking from his heart.
And Scott, I know you got to go back to your meeting. Is there anything that you want to say in closing out before you go, buddy?
Yeah, just that everyone can apply for our show at wcbshow@gmail.com. We're going to have an open call this Saturday. There's two of them. There's one at the Jerome Bettis Grill, 36, and that's from 11 a.m. to 2:30. And the next one is at 3:30.
Okay, at the same place?
No, the next one at 3:30 is at the Carson City
Saloon and on South Side.
Yeah, that's at the South Side. That's from 3:30 to 9 on Saturday.
Okay.
Say those times one more time and the locations one more time, Scott, please.
Sure. Jerome Bettis Grill from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And then the Carson City Saloon on the South Side from 3:30 to 9 p.m. And this will be Saturday, April 13th. So they can come, and I'd like them to bring both themselves and the coworker that's interested. If they're great, we'll sign them up for an audition at the hotel that Sunday. But if they're really interested and they want to try to get an interview before anyone else, they're head of the class, give us a call or send us an email. We'll get working on them right away.
Well, thanks, Scott. Let me give that number out, 818 471-7738. And that way you can get on the White Collar Brawler. How's that, Scott?
That's perfect. That's amazing. We love it.
Well, thank you, and keep in touch, and I'm sure we'll be in touch with you guys. Have a safe trip back and get some great Pittsburghers.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the help, and we'd like to thank Pittsburgh for all the great memories so far. So hopefully we can we'll cast this beast, and we'll have a great show in town for you.
Great.
You're welcome, and can't wait to talk to you again. And that open invite is every Monday night, and I keep telling you, between 7:30 and 8:30. You're more than welcome to come on down there, okay? Anytime.
Very cool. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Have a great night. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Best luck. Great job.
What an
Before
interesting.
we say anything, let me ask permission. Brazil, is it okay if I meet Jen? I can't wait to meet Jen. I'm going to call that number as soon as we get out of here.
Smoking Jim.
Leave it to Smoking Jim. There's another first for BPTV. You heard it on the airwaves. There's going to be a reality TV show. Get out there. If you want to fight with a coworker, hey, all my PG guys, Chief, Gary, E, all the rest of you guys.
My money's on the Chief.
My
My money's on the Chief.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of tougher guys than that, buddy.
Chief, I'm right behind you, buddy.
Don't drop your dessert, Chief. Thanks for showing up last night, too. All right, we did the revisit. We got the reality show. Now we got to touch on Sips Sports Bar. We had the Kamikaze Kid on there last night. I don't know if you guys remember Chaz Bonasorti from the Pitt Championship era. He come there with a ring. He was a surprise guest. Tina from
Straight from Upper St. Hazelwood.
Yeah, I learned about Upper St. Hazelwood. But guess what? Come out to Dormont with Sips Sports Bar next Monday night. The Kamikaze Kid's going to be our first guest. And he promised to tell stories about Tony Dorsett before he was Dorsett and everything else.
Oh, wow.
He's got so many wild stories. He was talking to me after the show for about 15 minutes. I said, you got to come back and keep him clean. So he's going to be there, folks.
Yeah, because this is a family show.
Yes. And then we had some great guests. If you haven't seen the video, it's up. You'll see it throughout the network, too. But Claudio, the head coach with CMU, now this is just a baseball club. These kids do not get scholarships. They have to pay their tuition, and they play baseball for the love of it. What class guys they were. 4 of them are great. One of them, Brendan McNabb, thanks for writing a little blurb about us on your website, about being on our show. We appreciate it. And they're just a class act. And here's another first. We're going to broadcast the CMU baseball game against St. Francis April 28th. You're going to see the crew here.
Yep.
Al Levine, the talking machine, Chip the Prophet Hayner, and Smoking Jim Frazier. His brother's the head coach. So we have to go out there to do it. So thanks for setting some of this up, Smoking Jim. But we're going to have a great time. That'll be rebroadcast throughout the area.
I got to say something. I want to thank Claudio for being a guest on our show last night. I love talking to Claudio. I could talk baseball with him any day of the week until the sun comes up. But the thing that impresses me, Claudio impresses me just to start with. But, we were interviewing some of his ball players, and they were a little nervous, and Alan was asking him a couple of questions that weren't making him exactly so comfortable. And he jumped up and came to defense of his ball players. And I tell you what, it makes me wish I was young enough to be able to play for him, because Claudio is the kind of coach that I would have loved to have played for when I was
And Chip, usually I take it easy on some of these kids, like even the boxers. These kids, you didn't have to, because you see what he did? He come up and described how humble they were. And that's the difference between a lot of these ball players that just, they talk the talk. These guys walk and talk, and then they're engineers and everything else. These guys are smart guys.
Yeah, engineers, architects. I mean, these kids are they're gonna probably make their millions in something other than professional sports. But you know what?
Just don't ask them what 50K gets them at CMU. All right, that's 50 plus, 50 large, Chipper. So they know what's going on there. And thanks again, guys, for being on the show.
Yeah.
We
Claudio,
appreciate it.
thanks again, man. Always a pleasure to see you.
And we'll be talking. And Claudio got an open invite also to come on the show. And that's it for the Sips Sports Bar edition, except for 3024. Pittsburgh, PA 15216. That's West Liberty Avenue. Don't forget it, downtown Dormont. You guys know where it's at. You pass by it a lot of the times from the South Hills. So we'll see you there next Monday. Don't forget Kamikaze Kid. Now we go to one of my favorite segments here, Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, it was a great interview you did with the reality TV guy. 85 reality shows. I'm not a TV person, but I have heard of Jersey Shore and some of.
Are there any pretty girls on there?
Ooh, yeah. I'll tell you what.
That's why he knows the show, folks.
And they are tough girls, but excellent interview, man. Great job. That's a great opportunity
and then,
here for the city of Pittsburgh.
From the Jersey Shore, Snooki could take one hell of a right.
Family show, Chip.
But fiction,
I'm just saying.
Let's get the fiction and fact.
Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac goes back a little ways. A good friend of mine owns the Savoy restaurant. His name is Chuck Sanders, and Black Enterprise magazine gave his net worth of $150 million recently. Wow. If you can believe Black Enterprise magazine. But he's doing very, very well for himself. And back in the day, Chuck Sanders was working with a well-known sports agent by the name of Ralph Sendrich, one of the top guys out there. And Chuck was... Chuck Sanders, his background's a little bit, he was a slippery rock running back. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate, the only Heisman Trophy candidate ever from a Division II school. Got drafted by the San Diego Chargers and played a few years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when his career was over, he started to go into the inner cities and get these kids and take them to church. So Rod Rutherford and some of these guys, he would take them to church in a big van, and a lot of them stayed home and played at the University of Pittsburgh. So he had his in the University of Pittsburgh, and they took me to lunch. And anytime I go to lunch, I eat first. So they were eating salads, and I was eating like it was the Last Supper. And,
Steak.
Oh man, I was eating everything, brother, because I know usually I try to eat first because
they might throw you out.
I know when I give my advice that a lot of times they are not going to like it. So Ralph Sendrich was representing a junior at Pitt at the time. Well, it wasn't legal because you couldn't have representation, but he had Lateef Grimm. And Lateef Grimm was a wide receiver at Pitt, had just won the Biletnikoff Award. And he was contemplating whether he wanted to go professional or come back for his senior year and maybe win the Heisman. And I hate doing this. I like it. My job is to evaluate athletes, but I hate to do something like, what should you do? Because they're always going to be mad at me. If I say you should go pro, and you go pro, and you get drafted late in the first round, second round, third round, then you say, wow, if I'd have came back to college, I could have been the first, second player picked. I could have made millions. So it's that what if thing.
Right.
So after I ate, they asked me what Lateef Grimm should do. And they were surprised when I said, I think Lateef Grimm should go pro. So Ralph Sendrich and Chuck Sanders looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, well, he's only projected to go late first, early second. If he comes back, he can win the Heisman. He can do this or that. Why in the world will you say that he should go pro? I says, well, because the NFL never drafts a player high from college who's not the best receiver on his team. And they look like, what are you talking about? I said, there's a kid that you guys don't know of named Antonio Bryant that's going to be the best receiver on Pitt's team next year. They got up and walked out. So I took my doggy bag and went home. Lateef Grimm came back for his senior year. Now, he could have made $3-4 million signing bonus by getting picked late in the first round, early second round. He came back to Pitt his senior year, the defending Biletnikoff Award winner, and he was the second best receiver on the team. Antonio Bryant ended up being a star receiver that year. Lateef Grimm didn't go in the first round, didn't go in the second round, didn't go in the third round. In fact, he didn't get drafted. He walked on to the Washington Redskins and never played a down in the National Football League. And that's my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. He could have been a multi-millionaire if he'd have listened to me.
Good stuff, Jim. Good stuff.
That's why you got to listen to him and his NFL scouting.
I'm telling you, and if Jim, his ability to identify talent, second to none.
Thanks, Chip.
Second to none.
Well, plus, how much film do you watch a day? A couple hours?
2 football games a day, every day, 365 days a year, but I don't watch it alone. Me and Brazil watches it together.
There you go, folks. You heard it first here. All right. Now, one of my other favorite segments, well, except for the Brazil part. She's still sitting there. Let's go to Smoking Your Chip's trivia time. Let's hear some of this. Come on, Chip.
Some of this. And I always preface this by saying, I've always been referred to as a fountain of useless information.
No,
and
not in my book, Chip.
And I like to call it little known or cared about facts. But on this day in 2001, PNC Park opened. But besides the fact that PNC Park opened, which was supposed to be the crowning jewel in the Pirates' crown, but it has not worked out that way yet. There was a very bittersweet moment because also on this date in 2001, the great Willie Stargell passed away, Pirate Hall of Famer. Shared the league MVP in 1979 with Keith Hernandez. Brought the Pirates the 1979 World Championship. So a little bit of a reflection there. And a couple of other baseball facts, some dates that passed us just from the past week. And I've put these out on Facebook, but being that I only have 24 friends, not a lot of people.
Friend him. When you're friending Pittsburgh Sportsline, like us, friend him.
On April 4th, 1974, the true home run king in baseball, Hammer and Hank Aaron, tied Babe Ruth's record of 714 home runs. He did it playing in Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium.
Wow.
Okay? The true home run champion, because that steroid boy who played out in San Francisco that may have stopped in Pittsburgh for a while, his don't count. Also, another
the next commissioner of baseball, Chip Hayner.
And then on Saturday, April the 6th, 1973.
Wow.
It was a game-changing moment. Mike Blomberg was the first designated hitter in Major League history. Wow. Mike Blomberg played for the New York Yankees, and he went to bat against Louis Tiant, who was pitching for the Boston Red Sox that day. Now that I've mentioned the fact that was when the designated hitter started on April 6th, 1973, there is one designated hitter that won a batting title in the history of baseball, and only one.
Wow.
That was Edgar Martinez of the Seattle Mariners. Did it, I believe, in 1996. Won the batting title as a DH, and as a matter of fact, he was one of the people that didn't get elected into the Hall of Fame this year. So, we'll see if he ends up getting there. And then, my friend Jim has been touting boxing, and he and I agree that the greatest heavyweight champion of all time wasn't the greatest, Muhammad Ali, was a gentleman named Rocky Marciano. And the reason why we agree that he was the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, because he's the only heavyweight champion that retired undefeated. There was one fighter in his entire career that went the full 15 rounds with him. Do you know who that would be?
No, I can't even guess.
15 rounds with The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Didn't win, but he went 15 rounds with him.
Somebody went 15 rounds with The Rock?
What did he look like?
The second fight, it was against Ezra Charles.
Wow. Never knew that.
So that was my little nugget I threw for you, Jim.
Ezra
and that's not
beating?
useless.
Woo.
Wow.
The only fighter to go 15 rounds with the great Rocky Marciano.
So
that's Chip's Trivia time
Chip's
this
Trivia
week.
time, folks. There you go.
More
winners there.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of winners, we got boxing served up for Smoking Jim Frazier here.
That was for you.
This is for some of your promotions with this boxing. What's going on? Who's going to be with us on the 14th?
Well, I tell you.
Do we know? Can we give them a tease?
I tell you what, we we're going to have a celebrity guest model, of course, in the house.
And you won't tell me. Okay.
You got to come out and be a surprise. Brazil will be there.
Well, she always is.
Yeah, and she doesn't like to be on camera. And
well, you
also,
can't see her. That's why she's not on camera.
And we got the beautiful Erin Ward. She's going to be there. Got Elle Levine, the talking machine, and we got Luther Dupree. Brings a real good fight. So Luther Dupree is going to be there also, helping out. So I tell you what, it's the Golden Glove Boxing Championships. It's always hard because these kids grow up wanting to be a Golden Glove champion, and it's one and done. And when you lose, the heartbreak of these kids, you see these kids that train so hard, they'll cry after the fight. Their parents are crying after the fights. But I tell you what, the winner gets a chance to go to Philadelphia and fight for the state championship.
Wow.
And the winner of the state championship gets to go on and fight for a national championship.
All 50 states have boxers, right?
Yeah, all 50 states have boxers, and that's one step away. Usually when you win the Golden Glove National Championship, usually the next step for you is the Olympics.
And, I'll tell you what, Jim and Alan have really been pushing the local boxing scene. And, a lot of us have become disillusioned with boxing. And one of my critiques of the boxing industry just in general has been that the best fighters don't fight one another anymore. They're protecting their paydays and everything like that. But you go see these local amateur fighters, and if you really are a fan of the sport and truly enjoy the competition, these kids are fighting their hearts out, and they're not doing it for any amount of money, and they will fight anybody, anywhere. We had little Teddy at the couple of weeks ago. This kid's what, 9 years old?
No, 12 years
12 years old. This kid was ready to fight anybody in the place.
He's 95 pounds, but really 89.
The kid has got more spunk and moxie than anybody I've ever seen. And all those fighters from the 51 gym, every one of them just totally impressed me with the kind of young men they were. Real kind of a tribute to their coaches, their parents, and even to the young men themselves, because they've got great attitudes and they got hearts, which you don't see in a lot of people.
And I tell you what, a lot of these kids come from the rough, tough inner city. I tell you what, these kids come from the hard streets of the inner city, and they grow up dreaming and hoping that one day they can live in Monroeville. So for a day, they get to come to God's country and enjoy the other side of life. But I tell you what, what's worth the price of admission is seeing ring car girl Alicia Richter, a friend of the show.
Oh, yes.
And if you want to see how beautiful she is, just look at her Facebook pages and some of her photos. One of Pittsburgh's fastest rising stars, and a very nice girl, a friend of the shows.
Yes,
come on out and check her out.
And she really is.
And she's also a geek. She knows computers, guys.
Does she really?
Yeah, she's been with the...
Not just a pretty face?
Right, I don't know if I can say Geek Squad, but I didn't say that. So
wow.
All that and brains too, huh?
From what she's told me, so...
They may have to run a commercial over you.
Hey, I'm looking for more infomercial opportunities. But I do want to thank Steel City Sports World. Smoking Jim Frazier's a part of that. Luther Dupree. I like Steel City Sports World on Facebook. Like us on Pittsburgh Sportsline. We're proud to promote Steel City Sports World. They've been around for, over 10 years, Smoking Jim?
Over.
Maybe 12 years. Luther will have to give me a quote on air with that.
I'm not good with math.
I know. I keep testing them on that.
I've had the pleasure of being a guest on their show a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed it. And my thanks out to Luther and Kelly and Smoking Jim, because it's been a very enjoyable experience. And
Right, and I can't wait to see them on the 14th in downtown Monroeville. So we'll see you at the fights there. All right, let's move on. We've chewed up a lot of time here, folks. So
never seems to be a problem for us.
No. Big Mike who? Oh, sorry, Big Mike. And all the fans of Big Mike, you can still watch the show, I hope. And all the new ones, you're getting to see it first time here. So call in 412-831-3304. We just had our first caller of this year. I thank Scott from the Reality Show Networks. Well, that sounds awesome there. I just wanted to touch a little bit on NCAA. We talked about it last night, and if you're watching our show on YouTube, I understand. But I thought it was one of the greatest games with Wichita State and Louisville. Just a nip and tuck game. Wichita was up, looked like they'd win it. Louisville come back, whether you accuse the officials of not making the calls or whatever. I mean, that's part of sports. You hate to admit it, but they did make a difference.
And I did hear criticisms last night with Louisville and Michigan, how the referees influenced the game. And I think I'm getting a little bit tired of hearing people complaining about the referees because these games are played by human beings, and human beings are flawed, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're refereed by human beings. And you know what? The guy makes a bad call. It's all part of the game, And I mean, I think we have to learn to live with it. We may not like it. But, I mean, what's the alternative? Instant replay and reviewing every single play, it would take 3 days to finish a basketball game. It takes long enough to finish the last 2 minutes, But, I mean,
on a show today, I heard a guy that, I don't always agree with, Ron Cook. But when something, I'll throw out a big word here, if something's so egregious, like when you see a pitch that a guy should have a no-hitter and it's 3 feet off the plate, like they screwed a guy last year, he didn't get it. Some things like that, there should be a decision that's made then. When even the pitcher throwing the ball, like the other night, there was a call where a guy threw a ball and they called it a strike, and it ended the game. And it could have changed the outcome, whether it did or not, who knows. But I just wonder, when everybody knows the call's so obvious,
right? But
if that could be a rule. Now, I don't know if you call it the obvious rule.
No, but the problem with that, and is that there is a decision been made. Okay, the decision has been rendered. It may turn out to have been the wrong decision, but where do you draw the line with that? Because I mean, it's like one of those things where you can't get a little bit pregnant. You know what I mean?
But I heard that discussion.
You either go all the way, or
I'm sure you heard some of that discussion too, Chip, and I heard it, but I had a little different take on it. That these officials and referees, I come from a family, my dad was an official for years. Did he make mistakes? Yes. But did he make very few? Yes. So there should be some mechanism that when there is a mistake, that you can change it. Like they're not perfect.
But is it a mistake? Don't forget that one of the officials said, and he's no longer an official anymore, but he says, hey, anybody that throws a technical foul on Sean Miller, I'll give you $5,000 and
or a trip to Cancun. A free vacation.
So where at?
But we're talking about Ed Rush, the head of the Pac-10 officials.
I've been coming out the tunnel with a technical.
Well, but that's like Bounty Gate. You're talking technical gate. And to me, that's illegal type of stuff.
To speak to your point, though, that is a slippery slope that once you start down, it's going to snowball because, who is it going to be to determine what can be a call that can be changed and what's not? Because in somebody's mind, every single call has got a right to be changed because, it affects somebody positively and somebody adversely. So
yeah, but even think how basketball is now. It wasn't always this way, that constantly the coaches are harping about everything to every official. They have 3 officials to yell at. So now they do it on every play. I've watched basketball the last so many years, and you've seen the change. They're constantly, if a ref makes that mistake, they browbeat them.
Yeah, they
from
browbeat
swearing to whatever else. Some of these guys can't take it, so they change their calls the next time, and you see the even up call like you do in hockey.
But, Alan, the officials have been making bad calls, but, there is a rule in basketball, and you could check this out in the college ranks or the pros. When was the last time a referee called traveling? And you see guys run half the court without bouncing the ball.
See traveling
they pick and choose the rules that they want to do. So, I mean, that's the game that you live
with
in.
The ball like this.
Yeah. Palming the ball.
Yeah, palming the ball.
Right.
Well, they palm the ball all day long because they watch the NBA. And they watch
because they watch Sports Center.
Well, that makes the highlights, and you're allowed to take 4 steps in basketball. We all know that. Yeah. It's beyond 3.
Yeah.
I just brought it up for some argument's sake. 412-831-3304. I just feel that there should be maybe another official. We need employment in the country. Hire another official.
No, I think that's wrong.
Let him sit up in the video camera. And
you heard the old saying: "Too many cooks spoil the soup."
And can we make the announcement now? A quick 30-second announcement. Next year at Sip Sports Bar, we're going to have the NCAA championship party after our show. We're going to have the Steel City Beauties, the Steelerettes. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have surprises from the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Penguins. And we're going to have the Kamikaze Kid in the house. So we're going to pack it out next year. Come to the party after the party at Sip Sports Bar for the NCAA championships next year. And we're going to use some of that Al Levine, the Taka Machines money, because he won it all. He had Louisville.
Listen to what happened.
And Chip had Louisville, so he won it all.
Listen to what happened. I can't believe it. We need a recall on this.
What?
See, now I know where this
To
is
let
all
you
from.
tell it.
Let me tell you the story here.
Oh, yeah.
That little Z runs a straight operation from what I could hear.
All right.
In the background, he said we're close. I didn't find out till this morning that somebody named White Rapper come in first.
Vanilla Ice?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
You have to check with Little Z.
M&M?
No, well, let's move on. Guess who come in second?
Who?
Little Z. And then guess what team come in? Pittsburgh Sports Nation with Big Mike D and Al Levine. We come in third.
Any money for that?
I told him in the horse races.
Yeah.
I know about that. Third place gets show money.
Heck yeah.
He didn't even send me a reply.
Wow.
Only the winner got
That's
something.
right. That's
wonder
winner takes all.
No wonder Lil Z didn't make it here tonight.
Yeah,
And
he
they
tried.
And they were playing for cheeseburgers.
We had cash on the line. But thanks for asking. So you won't get any Levine Green on that one.
Oh,
Just a
man.
pen. You need another pen?
Well, I'll take a little Swin Cash anytime.
Wow.
She's a
Nice.
sweetheart. She's a sweetie.
Yeah, and speaking of Swin Cash, we got the women's
Who said
NCAA Women's Championships tonight, and there's been some rumblings, and it came from Mark Cuban that Brittany Griner, who was the college basketball player of the year, that she, might try, he would draft her if she entered the NBA draft. And, sometimes I think of some pretty crazy things, but I'm just wondering if she was such a great
Chip.
basketball player, and I had an epiphany this afternoon, but if she was such a great basketball player and should be playing in the NBA, why isn't she playing for the national championship tonight?
That's a good point.
Because it's a team sport.
Exactly. That was where I was going with this.
I
because
knew it.
It's not always the team with the best athletes win. It's the team that plays best as a team that ends up
Well, I
winning it
tell you
all.
what, I'm going out here on a limb because I know a lot of the players in the NBA wouldn't want to play with a female, but I'm going out on a limb. If I played in the NBA and if I played for the Dallas Mavericks, are they?
Yes.
If I play for them, I would love for Coach Mark Cuban to draft in the first round the female basketball player from Notre Dame. I'm all for that. Oh, she a cutie.
Yeah, but that begs me to ask the question. Okay, now Mark Cuban's a very astute businessman, and he's made a billionaire several times over. Yeah. And the Mavericks, since they've won their championship, their stock's dropping a little bit. They're not as popular. They're not selling as many jerseys. Is the whole talk of him bringing in a woman and possibly drafting her, is this just another promotional gimmick? Or does he really think that she would help make his team a better team and more capable of winning a championship? That's the question that
We'll
I
have to have Mark on the show when he comes in. I'll have to call him up. Let's have Mark Cuban.
Maybe we get him on a reality show. I'm sure there's a couple people he want to beat up. He's a white-collar brawler.
Hey,
I've never seen him on a Shark Tank. Some of his cohorts now.
Watch that Shark Tank. I watch it all the time. It's a great show. Smoking Jim, you got to watch a little TV there. Check that Shark Tank on ABC. But no, we'll have to check that out. My opinion on it, she should stay in the women's basketball, be a pro. Like I said last night, be like the Wilt Chamberlain. Not on the sex part, Smoking Jim. I knew where you were going to go. I had to beat you to the punch there. But let her dominate the sport. If she's truly that great in women's basketball, hey, play an exhibition game against the men. We talked about the baseball players when they used to.
You remember Cheryl Swoops played Michael Jordan?
Did she?
Back
I didn't
in the
know
day.
that.
I thought they, and I don't know how that turned out. I just, remember something.
Did that lead
about
to
it.
his divorce?
Which one? The most expensive one?
Folks, we cover everything here. It's not just sports, it's sports-related talk. Tune in anytime. Matter of fact, we need some more likes. Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Don't forget to like us there.
Big Mike.
No, he's in. He's in. Well, we didn't touch on Penguins, Chip. Wow. And they're playing right now, I think.
So, Penguins are playing
too bad my sister in Jersey can't watch the
Carolina
game.
Hurricanes.
Jeez.
They just started. They probably just dropped the puck a few minutes ago. And it's a great opportunity for the Penguins.
Oh, no, I got Chris, one of the best cameramen in
All right, Chris.
TV. Even though he's from South Park, we don't hold that against him. He said the score is, as Andy Sebastian would say, 2-2 in the first period.
But, what I was saying is that the Penguins now have an excellent opportunity to integrate the people that...
integrate?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, we got Jerome McGill here. Added a little color.
Smoking Jim's trying to get a ticket to the game.
No, but what they've got is they got a chance to integrate the new players on the team into the Penguins system, learn how to, they can complement one another. I saw Sid was interviewed last night, and you can see all the teeth that were broken out of the bottom part of his mouth. But
he actually looked pretty good. There wasn't swelling, at least that much. It didn't look like. So
but it'll be interesting to see if Malkin can find his step again and his scoring touch in his last 9 games. And the Penguins are going to be absolutely fine. And Marc-Andre Fleury, Friday night was just unquestionably the best player on the ice that night. Penguins don't even have a chance to win that game if he didn't stop everything that was thrown at him. Last night the Buccos took it to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Wandy Rodriguez is turning out to be quite the amazing pitcher this year. I mean, this guy's got heart. He doesn't want to be taken out of the game. He started feeling tightness behind his left knee, and he didn't want to come out of the game. But he was like, this is April 8th, and if I sit here and push myself and I'm out for 2 or 3 months, more of a detriment to the team. So tonight, James McDonald's taking the hill, and I think he's going to pitch another game just like he did at PNC Park the other day. He pitched a great game. Unfortunately, he came out on the short end of it, but, he pitched like the James McDonald of the first half of last year. And, it's good to see that because there's a lot of question marks about him, which James McDonald's going to show up. So, I say, tune in tonight. You're going to see James McDonald pitch another gem.
Well, there you go. After you finish watching us, we only got a couple minutes left. Smoking Jim, we're going to close out with whatever you want except for Brazil now, because she got enough PR on this, and we can't show her.
Well, yeah, everybody, please come out Sunday to the Golden Gloves. I tell you what, you got Amani Eberhardt that is as close to being a professional as anybody has ever seen, defending state champion, want to be a national champion this year. A lot of promoters want him to be pro, and he's fighting 15-year-old Johnny Spells. And I tell you what, there's a lot of people around the city that thinks it could be an upset. That 15-year-old Johnny Spells can be the seasoned veteran in the amateur ranks and defending state champion.
I'll tell you what,
Amani Eberhardt.
There's no question about Johnny's part. We interviewed him a few weeks back, and his dad was on. And Johnny, I wish you all the luck in the world, buddy. Go for it.
Definitely, and it's great to see these young men out there. And Jimmy Svedek has a great crew. I'm not sure how many of his fighters are going to be out there with the Golden Gloves. So check out that. Teddy from 51 Gym. Johnny Spells with his gym, these guys, and all the others that if I don't know your names, I apologize.
Real quickly on closing comments. Real quickly, the NFL got it right. Mike Tomlin's now on the rules committee. He's taking Ken Wisenhunt's spot. Good job, Mikey.
Don't get Smoking Jim all riled up. This show's almost over. Hey, I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate all the great feedback. You guys can call in sometime or just like us on Facebook. Thanks again. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to Devin in the control room.
Devin, you're the best.
And Dave Cable, thanks for everything you do. And the graphics, we're getting great reviews on all the graphics with Sips Sports Bar. Just fantastic. And thanks to you at BPTV for watching us. Have a great night.